What's going on, everyone? Today I'll be joined with Rock Newman. He has a show, the Rock Newman Show. And for those who don't know much about Rock Newman, Rock, thank you for joining us on the program.
It is my pleasure to be on with you, my brother.
Now, Rock, can you tell people a little bit about yourself? How did you get to the point where, you got to your show? You interviewed a lot of great people within the community, and, you've been putting in a lot of work for many years.
Oh, wow. I don't necessarily know where to start, but I'll jump in here to say that I was born in D.C. I grew up in Southern Maryland, a little country town called Brandywine, Maryland. Went to Gwynn Park High School, where I was a standout baseball player. And I am going to let you and your audience know that the baseball field at my high school is named after me. I played third base. I turned the hot corner cool. And it was hard to get a ball past the rock. I left there and went to the greatest institution of higher learning in the history of the world, and that's Howard University. I was an All-American baseball player at Howard, captain of the team for 3 years. And you know what, man? Some kind of way I've been blessed to take a leadership role in most things that I have done. So my journey, actually, after Howard, I was in sales for a little bit. And then I went back to Howard University. I quit a job in 1976 where I was making $36,000 a year in sales, and went back to Howard University and took a pay cut. I was making $14,000 a year, but I was in a counseling position there. And it's probably the lowest paying job I've ever had as an adult, but maybe the most rewarding, because every year I had in my care over the course of 4 years, about 400 students. And I developed relationships in the late 70s and the early 80s that continue to exist today. And I think I was able to help some students find themselves. So that was very, very rewarding. I've always been a sports fan. I was always a boxing fan. The person who had the single most influence on my life, bar none, was born by the name of Cassius Clay, but of course became Muhammad Ali. And so being such a big fan of Ali's and his having such influence on me in terms of my growth, my political thinking, standing up for what I believe, and all the rest. Eventually it led me into the world of boxing. Before I got there, I had a stint where I worked several years with a couple of years with Tony Brown, from Tony Brown's Journal, when he was doing a national Buy Freedom campaign. I became very good friends with Dick Gregory, and I was in Iran while the hostages were there with Dick Gregory. So, I've had some, multiple experiences that have shaped and molded me. And then I got in the world of, really got in the world of boxing. First, I was covering fights as a radio personality. And then I started doing blow by blow, and I've, had some kind of crazy thought that maybe I could get into the business of boxing. And I got into that, and I represented Dwight Muhammad Qawi when he was champion. I worked with Michael Spinks, and eventually took over as manager and promoter of the gentleman who became the heavyweight champion of the world, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Riddick Bowe. And, we had a great run. And along the way, I stayed very active on the political scene, whether or not it was as a supporter and the chairman of the transition team of Marion Barry when he came back from the political dead, or we were involved in the anti-apartheid movement very early on. I got arrested in 1979 with Walter Fauntroy and Dick Gregory in front of the White House, protesting a South African government representative who was coming to the White House. So pretty much had been active along the way. And, we had the career with Bo. I sort of post that career, done multiple things, lived in Las Vegas. More recently, I was the executive producer for several years of the Bermuda Music Festival. And then in 2010, I came back to the DC area and started doing more things. And I will tell you, brother, what really brought me back into the world of radio and television was I had a close friend. I had a close friend who was a very dark-skinned brother who fell in love with a Chinese girl at the University of Maryland. And he went with her at some point. She had to go back to run the family business. He went to live there for a few months, and he experienced so much racism. I mean, people would get up from the table if he and his girl went into a restaurant. They would spit on the street, and he was really depressed about it. And it gave me a sense of how the Black community was being portrayed around the world. And in some way, I wanted to change that narrative in whichever way I might have an opportunity to do so. That led me to first doing some radio, some live streaming shows, and then to the television show that I now have, which is the Rock Newman Show, which is broadcast on the only Black-owned PBS station in the country. So that's a long-winded answer to a short question, but now you know everything about my whole life, except I didn't tell you I'm married to the most beautiful woman in the world. And I got the most gorgeous, sweetest little puppy that's right by my side right now. So that's it.
Well, hey, the marriage is definitely what, keep us grounded, the women in our lives. And, even when we down, they keep pushing us. So that's always a blessing. Now, you say you've been doing a Rock Newman show for how many years?
I've been doing the Rock Newman Show this time around for about 3 years and 4 months. I did do, talk radio back in late 79, 80, and 81 also.
Now, earlier you was talking about, changing the narratives because, the media that's always against us and pushing all these white supremacist, ideology all over the world. And like you say, Chinese people don't even interact with us like that. But yet a brother go over there and look how they treat him. And that's what people don't understand, that it's very important that we have people fighting on the airwaves as well, because it's great to have Black Lives Matter. It's great to have the Nation of Islam and other groups that want to get out there to fight for us. But if you don't fight on the airwaves, that's where they get us at.
The media has appraisal power. And what I mean by that is, if you were to go and to buy your lady a diamond ring, and you pay $100,000 for that diamond ring, and if she sort of questions whether or not you paid that $100,000 for that diamond ring, which I'm sure that's nothing for, that's chump change for you. But if she didn't trust that you paid that much, and she sort of slipped over to a jeweler and asked the jeweler to give her an appraisal, and he gives her an appraisal, he said, well, that thing ain't real. That's only like worth $500. She's going to be very, very disappointed. The reality is you bought her a sparkling, beautiful $100,000 diamond ring, but someone that she might think is an expert or has some authority appraised it for much less than what it was worth. Every day in America, since America has been established, the Black community has been marginalized, dehumanized, as less than. And that is the power of the media to appraise the oppressed in a way that diminishes their humanity and elevates the oppressor's humanity. And we must fight every day, dear brother, to flip that script.
And that's what we do here. We're fighting every day, and we're fighting so much that now the white supremacists on Stormfront is talking about us now. So we're really starting to make a dent, because we made sure to show that last night on the live stream.
Well,
but
I'll tell you what, when it was presented to me about whether or not I wanted to do an interview with you, Phil, I agreed to do this interview because I see the impact that you're having. I see the work that you are doing. And when people step out and try to do what you do and speak truth to power, there is a heavy cross to bear. So, brother, let me just say to you, keep on doing what you're doing. You know, you can look at yourself every day in the mirror and know that you're fighting the good fight.
Well, brother, you know, it just, you know, what I feel that, you know, the Lord has called me to do. I've accepted that. And, you know, like I said, we just have to keep fighting every day. You know, for our dear brothers and sisters, like, you know, the brother in Baton Rouge, you know, which I'm gonna get into in another video, but I'll talk about it here. You know, Alton Sterling. I say, here we go again. You know, we watched Eric Garner get killed on camera, like verbatim. Now we watch this brother get killed on camera, verbatim. The white supremacists can't say, well, we don't know what happened before then, because the cameras show it all. What happened before, the man standing there with his hands up, you tackle him, you pull the gun out, you empty gun shots into this man who was, from what I was saying, close range, point blank, basically. From what I was told, he was unarmed.
You got him down. You have him down.
Yes.
You have him down so much. You have him under such control that you're able to take your hand off of him, pull out your pistol, talk shit to him, saying, if you move another muscle, I'll blow your brains out or take you out, or whatever it is he said. And then when the guy twitched or said something, he followed through on his barbaric threat and unloaded his gun in a defenseless black man as if he was some violent animal. And he did it because there is a mindset that too many officers in blue have, that a black man is an animal.
Now, let me point something else out to you, Rock. Notice people like Eric Garner. He just had a cigarette. But now notice this brother. They said supposedly somebody called, say he was selling CDs or had a gun or whatever. You always know who these certain people are, because black people don't be calling the police like that. Anyway, notice they're always killing the brother or killing the sister who ain't thugging. You'll never hear them killing the dudes that's out there shooting up everybody. No, they're always messing with the dude that, you know, do a minor infraction, that's a ticket, a dude that has a family. Like this brother had a family, okay? He had children. Now these children are fatherless. They don't have no father anymore. And what the media is going to do, they're going to try to dig into his background, whatever impropriety he may or may not have. They're going to put that out there. But what I do here, because I know their game, I will do the exact same thing they do, but in reverse. I'm going to show his loving family photos. I'm going to talk about him so great, because at the end of the day, I can care less what he did in the past. That man was killed in the middle of the street, worse than an animal. Matter of fact, they don't even do a dog dead. I said that many times. Fido got more rights and love in America than a black man and black woman got.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, the narrative is well worn out now, and that is they will do everything that they can to try to dehumanize him, to take away his humanity. And they do that in large part because when they can dehumanize him, when they can say, give some justification, they can live with themselves a little bit better when they do that, when they go through that dehumanization process. So it's a story that happens again and again and again. We're in 2016. You know, coming through this time of the civil rights movement, the 60s, you know, coming into the 70s, when you thought that the civil rights movement had opened up some doors, and it did. You thought perhaps that, hey, people were going to school together, that things were getting better. And I look at this 2017 race for the presidency and Donald Trump coming on the scene. And he so clearly has demonstrated what is much, much, much too much racism and white hatred for our brothers, for our black brothers and sisters, for our black and brown brothers and sisters. It's out there, it's alive, it is thriving. You see these folks riding around with their Confederate flags, and they just can't wait to take their country back and make it like it was in the old days when they could do these kind of things to people that don't look like them. And those people who were victimized really didn't have any recourse. That's what they're looking for. And when they vote for Donald Trump, that's what they are hoping that he will deliver for them. And that is a reason why folks got to get to the poll. Folks got to get to the poll. They've got to get to the polls and make sure that Donald Trump doesn't get in office. Now, I'm fully aware and abreast and concerned, like so many black folks are, about what has been policies that ultimately are attributed to the Clinton years that have taken so many black people off the street. What was an insane insensitivity to the plight of Rwandans when Bill Clinton was in office and had the power to do something about it. He said it's one of his biggest regrets. It should be. So when all is said and done, I think it's very important. There are some people that say, don't go to the polls, don't vote. I'm not of that school. I'm not of that school. Things that impact the community, like who the next Supreme Court justice is going to be. If a Donald Trump were to get in, those things that his bigoted, racist followers desire could happen a whole lot quicker, given if he should happen to get in the office of the president and is able to institute some of the policies which he wants to institute. So we got to keep that man out of office.
Well, Rock, this is one area we about to disagree on. Like, no, I don't support Trump at all. Don't think I'm supporting Trump.
Right.
But Hillary Clinton, number one, I didn't trust her from the beginning. I really don't trust her now with all the email situations she got going on. And I just cannot say within my heart I can vote for that lady. That's why I say, you know what? I'm sitting this one out. That's just me. I'm not voting for him. And like, think about it. If Trump get in there, okay, let Trump get in there. This is not the night. We are not turning the other cheek no more. I keep telling them that. And then white supremacists get mad and I say that. We're not turning the other cheek anymore. If you come at us, we will respond back kindly. That's just bottom line. We have a right to protect ourselves like anybody else. I don't care what Trump gonna do. We were discussing the Asian community, right? And the Asian community don't even get involved in American politics. They don't even care about that stuff. But yet they are doing very well in this nation. They have a highest median income, the lowest crime rate, all this other stuff, lowest on food stamps. What we need to do is fix ourselves and get ourselves together. Brother,
I can tell you one thing. On that point, we don't disagree. When I mentioned earlier Tony Brown and the Buy Freedom campaign, this was something that was back in the mid 80s. And I remember being in Tony's office for the better part of a year, and we went around the country trying to deliver a message of economic empowerment in our own communities, in supporting each other. It is no question, there is no Messiah, and not for 1 second do I want anybody to get it twisted that I think that Hillary Clinton or anybody else, Barack Obama for that matter, is a messiah. We need to organize. We need to collaborate. We need to understand that we are connected universally. I want Stokely Carmichael to be the president. That's who I want Stokely. You know, if I had my choice, I'd bring Stokely back, because Stokely cared about black folks throughout the diaspora. And if we don't develop a mindset that Pan-Africanism is an important approach to our problem throughout the world, we're still going to be fragmented, and we're still going to have to suffer this abuse that we continue to be victimized by.
Well, let me ask you a question. I noticed, this is something that I noticed, just paying attention, is that black people have no problem joining together when we're under attack. I'll even watch people who are thugging in the street say, you know what, let's put down our guns. Let's not kill each other. Let's join with everybody because we're under attack. Now, do you think if Donald Trump get in there and all the white supremacists feel like they got a free reign and start attacking us, do you think that we're going to join together in the way we never joined before?
You know, I've heard that theory. I've heard that theory. I have sat across the desk from Donald J. Trump, and I've dealt with him face to face. He was sitting with his lawyer. I was sitting with my lawyer. And I can tell you, he is a vile, racist, misogynistic, all the worst adjectives that have been used for him are correct. And I don't want to take the risk. I don't want to be a part of taking the risk for the kind of damage that I think that he would bring. You know, when they talk about fascist dictators, Mussolini and Hitler, this man has all of their tendencies, you know, and I just don't want to be a part of taking the risk of saying, okay, well, if he gets in, that means the black community is all going to get together and come together, because they can do things in a quick, hurried up fashion that I think could impact us and set us back further. No one has ever heard me say, vote for Hillary Clinton. No one has ever heard me say that. And that's hard. That I ain't been able to bring myself to say that yet. And I don't know if I will be able to bring myself to say that. But I am saying, under any circumstance, under all circumstances, knowing this bigoted, hateful man the way that I do, I will say, don't vote for him.
Yeah, because some people got upset and they'll say, well, there's other choices like Dr. Jill Stein and Gary Johnson. And I say, yeah, but they not even giving will they let them debate at the debate, or is it going to let them two debate? That's the way the system is. They cut out all the other candidates from their parties. No
question, man. You know, Trump said yesterday, he was talking about the FBI and the political system. He said it was rigged. Yeah, it's all rigged. It's all rigged. And I'll tell you something. I had Dr. Jill Stein on my show. And the things that she talked about are the things that should be allowed to be discussed in the broad media. But because things are rigged, and because some of the policies that she talked about are truly revolutionary, she shut out. And that in itself is a crime.
Yeah, and I reached out to her, to her people. Maybe I'll try again to try to get her on the show and talk to her and let her talk to my audience and see what she has to offer.
Yeah, I'll tell you something. I think that would be a valuable thing for you to do. And certainly I have contact with them. She was delighted, the interview that we ended up doing. And to the extent that I could, Phil, I certainly would support you by, reaching out and letting them know, encouraging them that they should definitely consider trying to fit it on her schedule to come talk to you and your audience.
Yeah, just to give people a different option, because obviously people don't trust Hillary, obviously. And I've heard some things that she said, and I say, I can kind of, agree with her on a lot of things. Shoot, a lot of things Bernie said I was agreeing with, but the DNC did Bernie so dirty. I don't know why he just didn't go ahead and say, forget it. I'm gonna run as an independent and just be up on this ticket. I don't know why he didn't do that.
Yeah, man, it has been a political season that has exposed so much. I mean, for the astute observer, I think we've learned so much in this political process where the fault lines are, where the real problems exist. And look, let's be clear, and I think you know it, and I think your audience might know it. To say that America is a true democracy is bullshit. We live in a time where this is now clearly an oligarchy. The wealthy and the rich few control much, much too much. That is why Bernie Sanders' message of upheaval really resonated with many. And if there is to be a true democracy, there must be a serious political revolution. In order for that to happen, it takes masses of the people. The difficulty of getting masses of the people to support a bona fide, serious political revolution, they need to be informed and educated. And the mass media, for the most part, doesn't play its role as the fourth estate, doesn't play its role. And oh my God, the educational system. There is no rational, reasonable explanation that one can give to support a racist, bigoted, limited vocabulary person like Donald Trump, other than America has been dumbed down. They're talking about the dumbing down of America. America has been dumbed down. And you see where his greatest support comes from. From those roaches that criticized you from that group that you talked about. The uneducated, misinformed,
no teeth in their mouth,
white folks, for the most part, who cry and say, I want my country back, as they chew tobacco.
Well, let me add something to also what I've been seeing, because like I said, they don't like, I'm talking about the white supremacists, because I've been definitely want to make a distinction with that, because see, I've been noticing that the propaganda game is the white supremacists feel that all white people represent the white supremacists. So when you speak up against white supremacy, racism, discrimination, all the different things that we know is wrong, the first thing they say is you're anti-white. Right. So it makes white people all get involved with it the way they coin it, but say, no, I'm anti-white supremacist. I'm anti-savage.
That's right.
This is what I am. So you're not going to co-opt a lot of white people who has nothing to do with it, because then if a white person stands up and say, you know what, this isn't right. I can't say all white people are white people, because you have your, Jane Elliott's of the world. We just interviewed her not too long ago. Yeah, somebody like her, and she's not the only one out here talking like that. I've seen many other white people talk that.
There should be a clear distinction made, because you're exactly right.
Yeah. So and then that white person,
they try to blur the lines, because what both you and I are talking about here is indeed oppression that is a byproduct of white supremacy. And I don't know what's in your heart, but I know what's in my heart. I hate no one. I hate no individual. I hate no group. But I hate white supremacy. And everybody who practices white supremacy is an enemy of mine. And I will do everything that I can to expose it and to defeat it. At the same time, there are indeed, and I mean, I want to try to say this and make sure that there's nothing condescending about it. But of course, there are liberated white folks who understand the impact of white supremacy and what it has done. And they too want to be a part of the problem. I want more of them to step up though.
Well, this is what they tell me. They actually write me and talk to me. And they say, listen, I support you. You know, I watch your videos. You open my eyes to see so much. Say the problem is a lot of times with us as white people that really want to speak up, the white supremacists come at them so hard, make it so hard for them to speak up. Like they literally turn their life into a living hell. So sometimes they be like, you know, they don't want to say nothing, but quietly they'll come to you and say, listen, I don't agree with the police doing the things they're doing either. And that's not right. But they're not going to vocally stand up because they'll literally get killed, some of them, if they stand up against white supremacy. It's like that savage with these white supremacists, but they have allowed these white supremacists to run amok in their community for so long. And it's time for white people to eliminate the element of white supremacy within their own group. Because, you know, we have to. All of us have to.
Yeah, you know, and there we get into talking about folks that have power. And Frederick Douglass and others have articulated it better perhaps than I ever will, but I'll just borrow the phrase. Power concedes nothing without a struggle. It never has, and it never will. So again, I take my hat off to you as being in the struggle every day. We must move with conviction and courage. There are times when you see what is going on now and how Barack Obama has been treated, when one can consider the idea that it is hopeless. But like Dr. Cornel West said at one point, in spite of all the evidence to the contrary, I remain a prisoner of hope. I think we have to do that until they put the shovel in the ground and put dirt over us, if that's the way we choose to go.
Yeah, I live by that, you know, that definitely, you know, because if I don't have no hope, then I'm saying, what's the point of doing anything? You know, I just do good for myself, crawl into my hole, stay out the way, and I'm good. But I can't just go by and watch what's going on and not say nothing, you know, because I was watching a video the other day from Sandra Bland, and she was saying, if we can't do nothing, just, you know, speak up on social media, record with your phone, let people know what's going on. So we all can do something. And I was like, wow, you know, Sandra Bland still speaking today, you know, on videos. So, you know, it's just, we have to do something. I feel like I can't live my life just being selfish like that and watching my community go through the struggles and the things that they're going through. You know, just don't speak up. I have to. I mean,
and so it is no surprise that you get attacked. And it is no surprise at all that Jesse Williams got vilified and attacked for what he had to say. Because when you are Black and you assert your manhood, that is a threat to white supremacy. And they come after you, and there is always a heavy cross to bear. We got more of us have to be willing to bear that cross.
And they're there. That's why we're trying to, you know, create this platform to grow and get bigger. That way we could, you know, create more people, brothers and sisters, who can go out and do the work as well. Because, you know, it's one thing to say, you know, oh, you're doing so great, but if you want your legacy to live, you need to create other people that's coming behind you. So when you gone, the message is just still going. It's taking off.
Absolutely. Ossie Davis, when he eulogized Malcolm X, he said, you know, we put his body in the ground, but it is a seed. that will grow, and that it will grow more Malcolms. And boy, oh boy, do we need to grow more Malcolms and more Kwame Toure's.
Yes, yes, sir. And what I love about today, and I've looked at this, I've studied intently about the Black Lives Matter movement. I mean, when O'Reilly said he's gonna make them public enemy number one, he did it. I give O'Reilly that. O'Reilly went on a propaganda war with Black Lives Matter. But I would tell Black Lives Matter, and maybe you tell them the same. Keep pushing, keep applying that pressure. Don't let off of them, because with this situation.
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many. We've got to approach this. Look, 360 degrees makes a circle. And every degree from 1 degree to 360 degree, if there is somebody that is doing something that is trying to help, that is trying to uplift, that is trying to give a message of liberation, what all of us in that circle need to do is to start understanding the value of loving ourselves and picking up and supporting one another. My doing your show to support you, and us being able to try to help each other. There must be that collective effort. Now, the vestiges of slavery, and people talk about the Willie Lynch letter and whether or not it was legitimate, whether it was really written. It doesn't matter at all. The concept of the Willie Lynch message has been practiced to absolute perfection, and it accomplished exactly what the intent of the letter was. That is to divide and to destroy and to dehumanize and to create fear amongst Black folks, that they see themselves, when they look at each other, they see somebody they hate. Oh, the strategy of white supremacy has indeed been impactful and brilliant. Every single day, folks like you and folks from every corner of the world that try to change that narrative, there's great value. And I'd like to see you, man, keep on doing it, and we certainly will try to keep doing it from our little corner of the world.
Well, I tell them this all the time, just because I see it. I feel in my heart God has ordained white supremacy to fall, and there's nothing they can do. And I'm watching it. Trump can get in there tomorrow. It's still going to fall. You in debt. You're not going to fix your problems. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. That's why I tell Black people, get your passports. You just may need them eventually, because this country is not going to be in a good situation. It's not. Especially if Trump or Hillary get in there, it's not going to be in a good situation.
Well,
how I feel about it, but come on, man, we have to keep it real. You can't do the things they have been doing for over 400 years, and not just to us, but the Native Americans. How would they did to them when they met them? 42 million. Then after meeting them, they went down to 4 million. You can't talk about the Middle East and the things they've been doing over there and how they've been stealing their oil, stealing their resources, raping Africa for hundreds and hundreds of years. Only the Lord is keeping their resources alive, because they've been pillaging that. You can't do the stuff they have been doing under colonization and don't expect something to happen. And they wonder why people in the rest of the world don't like them. I wouldn't like you either. You still come to my house and steal my crap.
There is, I think, immutable, unalienable, universal laws. There's something called karma that I think is very, very real. Martin Luther King said, the moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And I think that that right there is a reason to maintain hope. That indeed karma will see to it that those who have been vile and vicious and unfair and barbaric will meet their will have a homecoming that's not so pleasant. In the meantime, there's a lot of hell being caught here in the streets, and we must remain vigilant, trying to prevent what is the everyday oppression that our community experiences.
Yeah, we got to keep, my thing is we got to keep applying that pressure. I keep telling all you have cell phone cameras, you're paying $600 to $800 for these phones. Utilize these high, dollar phones, upload these videos, send them to people like me, send them to people like Rock. Let us get these videos out if you don't want to speak up on them. That's what we do. And let's spread it out there, because, the mainstream media, they won't talk about this stuff. Oh, now they kind of slowly talking about Alton Sterling, but you know how they go. They only going to talk about it unless they can sensationalize it some sort of way, because it's not real to them. See, when we talk about Alton Sterling, it's real life for us, because it could be me, it could be Rock, because that's what they go after. They don't go after the thugs. They go after people like us.
Yeah. Of course, we have a sense of connection. We understand, I think that when, Obama talked about Trayvon Martin and said that could have been my son, that could have been me. I think that was sincere. So we talk about these things from feeling a sense of humanity and compassion. And, you listen to the other side of that argument, and you really wonder what happened to the humanity? What happened to a caring, loving spirit? These are tough times, man. These are really, I intentionally get in my car sometime and listen to the Rush Limbaughs of the world, to the Michael Savages of the world. And what's that other kook that comes on after Michael Savage? Levin. I listen to these cats, man, because I'm curious as to what they think. And I'm telling you, every single day, every single time that I turn them on and I hear their vitriolic hatred, and they're talking to sometimes hundreds of thousands and millions of people who tune them in. They are tuned in to reinforce the hatred that the bigots feel. It's a cottage industry. They know what they're doing, and they spew a hatred that so pollutes the minds, again, of the uninformed, of the unintelligent. But there are too many folks leaving their law offices with their little suits and ties on that dig what they're saying also.
Well, you asked earlier what happened to them. I was going to call, they get upset when I say this, but they say they love Jesus so much, so I have to quote him. The fact is, what happened to a lot of them, I'm talking about the white supremacists, they're of their father, the devil, because the truth is not in them. And, that's why they always were quoting lies, because the devil is the father of lies. That's why when I call them devils, I say, hey, Jesus said that. When you live in lies, when you kill, steal, and destroy, that's what Jesus said, not me. So if you love Jesus, you should accept Jesus' words, right? Don't just say all the loving stuff about Jesus. Say, let's talk about the devil stuff as Jesus say as well. So, children of God is not going to lie on people. They're going to kill people, destroy people. They're not going to steal their resources. They're not going to dehumanize a person. How can you sit up there and get a GoFundMe going? Close to almost $1 million or $500,000 for George Zimmerman, Darren Wilson, all these other ones. That's what they do. They go run and give their money to them, like, oh, good job for killing a black kid. You have to be children of the devil to do that. The
hypocrisy of religiosity has been laid bare. When you look at a small sliver segment of Muslims who adhere to an ISIS ideology where they slaughter other Muslims in the name of religion, the hypocrisy of religiosity is laid bare. when you see white supremacists, when you see what was that boy's name? Dylan, Ryan Dylan goes into South Carolina and sits in a house of worship as a so-called Christian and then slaughters 9 defenseless people. The hypocrisy of religiosity is laid bare. So I have very little tolerance. I have very little tolerance for any of that. You know, if we don't get in touch with our humanity, you know, who we claim to worship doesn't mean a damn thing.
That's true. But people don't understand that, you know, they have created, the white supremacists have created a form of Christianity that's not of the word of God. So that's why they could steal, kill, destroy, you know, dehumanize, give money to in GoFundMe's to people who kill people, but like Walter Scott getting shot in the back. They can support all that kind of stuff because they don't abide in the truth. Those who do that. So, you know, that's why I separate that. So I don't even support American Christianity or what they created, because how can you enslave a group of people but talking about you love God at the same time? Don't give me that crap. Or how can you have 100 years of Jim Crow? We're not even out 100 years out of Jim Crow. And yet these people tell us we should be more like Dr. King. Yeah. What? So you can kill us too? You know, I mean, forget that. You say they say we should be more like Dr. King. Do they know that Dr. King in his last months spoke about America being the greatest purveyor of violence on the planet? Do they understand that Dr. King talked about he wants to get the language right tonight? That everything that's black ain't bad and everything that white ain't good? Do they understand that, Dr. King? And what again? Indoctrination, mass media, and education. You look at Dr. King and they call him the dreamer. Oh, that so diminishes him. That so very much diminishes him. He couldn't make an impact just by dreaming. Of course, all of anything starts with a thought, perhaps with a dream, but he was in the streets, man. He was in the streets and he got killed in Memphis supporting and trying to lift up garbage men. They so have tried to diminish him. And as soon as Muhammad Ali died, just a little bit ago, I was on several shows and I said, they will try to diminish Ali. They will try to make Ali this figure, this sort of simple figure who was trembling at the Olympics, lighting the torch. Muhammad Ali was a revolutionary. He was a revolutionary that came out of Louisville, Kentucky in 1960 when he won the gold medal. He got an incredible foundation and education that he didn't get in school or anywhere else from the Nation of Islam. He understood the world much better after those particular teachings, and he stood up. And we talk about no one could accuse Ali of hating white people, but he said to white supremacy, you're not going to identify and define who I am or how I am going to behave. I am going to assert my manhood as I see fit to do so. You can like it or you can leave it. You can criticize me. You can throw me in jail. My people have been in jail for a long, long time. So very rarely will you hear the mainstream media talk about that Muhammad Ali, because part of their responsibility from their corporate masters is to make sure, as J. Edgar Hoover said, a Messiah doesn't rise from black folks. So look at history. Any black man that stood up and boldly asserts his manhood and his right to freedom is always labeled, is assassinated by character sometimes, and as it happened with Malcolm and Martin and others, they will take you out. That's real. That's right. But you know what? That's what I say. All things come to an end. That's wrong. I tell you that it always happens. Nothing.
Rise again.
These people, like I say, they just don't realize. Why I tell people you need to make your decision. and choose the right side. Because I said this to a few people. What I feel is about to happen in this nation, it's kind of like what happened with Moses and the golden calf. When he said, look, if you gonna do the right thing, be on this side, come on, you're gonna be with the golden calf, go ahead. And after that, God swallow you up. And that's why I feel it's going on in this country right now, decision-making time. Because look at how we are forced to make some real hard decisions right now, even with our schools, with our children, the political process, some very, very hard decisions. Our hearts is being exposed. Like, the good thing about Trump has actually been a blessing. He's exposed the hearts of hidden white supremacists. And I'm glad he's doing that. That is a great thing. I like it to be in the open. I rather you call me.
That's right.
I rather you call me.
Is further laying that bare. I mean, certainly the ascendancy of Barack Hussein Obama to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, that brought him out of the woodwork. And then you come along and they are so energized in their hatred for that black man in the Oval Office that they embrace this insane guy named Donald J. Trump.
Mm-hmm. So, now they saying the N-word publicly now they attacking black people. I'm like, about time you come out the woodwork. Now we can deal with you. Because the worst thing you want to hate is an undercover racist. I hate them. I like the ones going to tell me to my face. I respect them all day long. But, outside of that, Rock, tell us how people can get into contact with you. Maybe they want to email you or even visit your show, watch your show. Let them know about your YouTube channel and what show your TV is.
Absolutely. I will certainly do this. I can be reached at rocknewmanshow.net. It's just spelled out ROCKNEWMAN show SHOW.net. That's my email address. I really, they can get me on Facebook. I'm on my real name. I don't hide. My Facebook name is Rock Newman, and my show page is Rock Newman Show. They can get me on Facebook either way, and certainly I would appeal to your incredibly large audience to subscribe to the Rock Newman YouTube channel. You can see all of what we've done, and we really do a cross section. Where we've had, as you mentioned earlier, Jane Elliott or Tim Wise or James Brown, the broadcaster, congressman, movers and shakers, Reverend Jackson. We've had, the presidential candidate, Jill Stein. We have a cross section of people on that are internationally known, and at the same time, we pay attention to what's going on in our community in Washington, D.C., and the surrounding areas. So as long as I have breath in my body, I committed that when I started this journey back in 2013 to try to change this narrative, that every single opportunity I had, I would do my part to try to make sure that folks understood what a great and noble people we are, and to try to really change the narrative as best I could.
All right. So make sure you get in contact with Rock Newman. Go check out his channel. We'll put a card up somewhere up there where you can go subscribe to his channel. He's interviewed a lot of good guests. Make sure you check out the David Banner interview. He interviewed Minister Farrakhan, a bunch of people. He's interviewed who's who in the community. So make sure you go ahead and check that out. So we want to thank Rock for joining us on the show today and taking up the time to give us some wisdom and knowledge. And, Rock, you take care of yourself.
I really appreciate you just saying, because here in the spirit of the moment, it just didn't come to me, David Banner and Minister Farrakhan, and those certainly are two voices that are very powerful, that have always spoke truth to power, and both of them I will be communicating with shortly. Thank you very much, brother.
All right, thank you, brother.